They were built as enormous tombs of shining white limestone, created to protect the dead for eternity. For thousands of years, the pyramids have dominated human imagination, giving rise to myths, legends, and theories that refuse to fade. Yet beyond fantasy lies a genuine scientific mystery. How did a civilization with primitive tools raise monuments hundreds of feet high with precision measured in inches? Why did an entire nation devote its strength to honoring the dead? And who were the men who hauled, shaped, and placed millions of stones into structures designed to last forever? The pyramids of ancient Egypt still stand like silent sentinels at the edge of Cairo. Built more than 2,000 years before the birth of Christ, they remain among the most powerful monuments ever created. Egypt continues to fascinate us because it achieved something no civilization had done before. Using stone, simple, heavy, unforgiving stone, it built the world's first skyscrapers. And the most puzzling aspect is that the builders left no clear written record of how they did it. Over time, rumor and storytelling blurred the truth. The only reliable evidence left behind is the pyramids themselves, forcing scientists to read the stones like pages from an ancient book. The Great Pyramid stands as the most overwhelming example of this achievement. Rising to about 480 feet, it is made from roughly 2.3 million blocks, some weighing as much as 50 tons. The structure approaches 6 million tons in total weight. For nearly 38 centuries, it was the tallest building on Earth. Yet size alone does not explain its impact. What truly astonishes engineers is its precision. Each side stretches roughly 755 feet, with differences of less than 2 inches. Inside, the complexity increases further. Passageways and chambers carved from extremely hard stone fit together so tightly that even a thin card cannot slip between blocks. All of this was built by a society that had not even discovered the wheel. Early explorers tried to force answers from the pyramids using brute methods. Some of the first Egyptologists blasted into the structures with dynamite, destroying valuable evidence in the process. Today, archaeology has taken a different path. Modern researchers use non-invasive technologies, robotics, remote sensing, and careful surveying to search for answers without causing damage. Some believe hidden chambers still exist within the Great Pyramid. Others argue the real mystery is not what lies inside, but how the Egyptians managed to build such structures with the limited technology available to them. Pyramid building did not appear suddenly in its final form. It evolved through years of experimentation and failure. Around 2600 BCE, the earliest major pyramids were built along the west bank of the Nile. The first major breakthrough was the Step Pyramid at Saqqara, possibly the oldest large stone building on Earth. It rose in stacked levels rather than smooth slopes. 60 years later, under Pharaoh Sneferu, Egypt attempted true smooth-sided pyramids. One early attempt nearly collapsed due to poor foundation choices and overly steep angles. The solution, reducing the slope mid-construction, created the bent pyramid, a visible lesson carved into stone. These failures taught crucial engineering principles that later made the Great Pyramid possible. One of the earliest challenges was choosing the right location. The ground had to support millions of tons of stone. Once selected, the builders faced the challenge of alignment. The pyramids were laid out so that each side faced a cardinal direction with extraordinary accuracy. Without compasses or lasers, many experts believe the Egyptians used the stars. By observing the rotation of certain stars and marking their movement against a controlled horizon, surveyors could determine true north. Using measuring rods and cords, they translated celestial observation into precise geometry. The ground, a perfectly aligned plan, was not enough. The base of the pyramid had to be perfectly level. Modern engineers use lasers and spirit levels, but evidence suggests the Egyptians used water-filled trenches. Water naturally finds a level surface, allowing builders to create a flat foundation across hundreds of feet. To maintain accuracy as the pyramid rose, they relied on simple tools such as plumb lines, wooden frames, and cords, checking alignment continuously as construction progressed. Once the site was prepared, the most demanding task began: acquiring stone. Over 5 centuries, Egypt built 18 major pyramids, containing 1/3 of a billion cubic feet of stone. Even with modern machinery, such a project would be daunting. Yet the Egyptians achieved it using basic tools, careful planning, and relentless labor. Most of the pyramids were built from limestone, which, while softer than granite, is still difficult to shape in massive quantities. Near Cairo, high-quality limestone was quarried using copper chisels struck with wooden mallets. For rough shaping, heavy blows removed large chips. For finer work, smaller chisels gradually flattened surfaces. Copper may seem unsuitable for cutting stone, but chemical analysis reveals ancient Egyptian copper often contained traces of arsenic. This impurity strengthened the metal, making it more effective for stoneworking. Granite posed an even greater challenge. Used in critical areas like the king's chamber, granite is far harder than limestone and resistant to copper chisels. Experimental archaeology suggests the Egyptians used toothless copper saws combined with sand. Quartz crystals in the sand, harder than steel, embedded themselves into the copper and slowly ground through the granite. The process was extremely slow, sometimes only a few cubic inches per hour, but patience and organization made it possible. After quarrying and shaping the stone, the Egyptians had to transport it. Granite blocks were floated down the Nile from Aswan, hundreds of miles away. Limestone blocks were dragged across desert terrain. Most scholars agree that ramps were used to raise the blocks, though the exact design remains debated. Whether straight, zigzagging, or spiraling, the principle remained the same: ramps combined with ropes, sleds, lubrication, and human strength. Stone moved because thousands of bodies moved it. Once blocks reached their position, they had to be fitted into the growing structure. Not every internal block was finished smoothly. Many interior stones were roughly dressed, with gaps filled using limestone chips and gypsum mortar, which hardened like concrete. Precision was reserved for visible surfaces and critical chambers. Using rods, taut strings, and repeated checks, workers identified high spots, marked them with red ochre, and carefully scraped them down using flint and sandstone tools. The result was joints of astonishing tightness. When complete, the pyramids were not the rough structures seen today. They were covered in smooth casing stones made from the finest white limestone. These stones reflected sunlight so intensely that the pyramids would have appeared dazzling against the desert sky. Most of this casing was later removed and reused in Cairo's buildings, but small remnants still hint at their original brilliance. The labor required to build the pyramids was immense. Millions of man-hours were invested. Ancient sources claimed 100,000 workers labored for decades, but modern estimates suggest closer to 25,000 workers, with construction completed during Khufu's reign. The logistical demands were enormous. Transporting stone, supplying food, replacing tools, and managing teams across decades without modern communication systems. Contrary to popular legend, the pyramids were not built by slaves. Archaeological discoveries near Giza uncovered tombs belonging to the pyramid builders themselves. These burials were placed close to the pyramids and prepared with care, something slaves would not have received. Forensic analysis of skeletons confirms the workers were native Egyptians, not foreign captives. Their remains show signs of medical treatment, including healed fractures and surgical procedures, indicating they were valued members of society. Excavations also revealed a large workers' settlement near the pyramids. This lost city contained bakeries, breweries, workshops, and administrative buildings, revealing a highly organized workforce. Food remains show generous rations of bread, beer, meat, and fish. The evidence also points to hierarchy. Some workers ate better than others, reflecting different roles within the system. It appears that skilled craftsmen and officials lived on site, while large numbers of villagers rotated in for temporary labor. For many, pyramid building may have been a form of national service rather than forced labor. This organized human network, capable of coordinating manpower, materials, and logistics, was perhaps the greatest achievement behind the stone itself. The final question remains: why build the pyramids at all? Medieval writers believed they were grain stores, but modern Egyptology agrees they were tombs for pharaohs. Yet no mummy has been found inside the Great Pyramid. Written inscriptions and religious texts, however, confirm their funerary purpose. The pyramid texts, the oldest religious writings in Egypt, reveal that pyramids were not just tombs, but spiritual machines designed to transform the dead king into an eternal being. According to Egyptian belief, the pharaoh's role did not end with death. His spirit was expected to protect Egypt from chaos and disaster. Rituals, spells, and offerings were performed to ensure his successful journey to the afterlife. Once sealed, the pyramid became a gateway, allowing the king's spirit to ascend and join the stars. Some researchers argue that the layout of the Giza pyramids mirrors the stars of Orion's belt, while shafts inside the Great Pyramid may align with significant celestial bodies. Whether symbolic or coincidental, the connection between architecture and astronomy is undeniable. Modern scans have revealed density anomalies suggesting unknown spaces inside the Great Pyramid. Robotic exploration of narrow shafts uncovered sealed stone doors, hinting at areas untouched for over 4,000 years. Whether these led to hidden chambers remains uncertain, but the mystery endures. Even stripped of its casing stones and reduced in height, the Great Pyramid remains the only surviving wonder of the ancient world. It stands as a monument not just of stone, but of human organization, endurance, and belief. The pyramids do not need myths to be extraordinary. The truth is powerful enough. And as the ancient saying goes, man fears time, yet time fears the pyramids.